In this challenge, I asked you to create a complex calculator application that executed any of the 4 standard mathematical operations. Here's how I solved the problem. First, I have an import statement at the top of the code for the scanner class. As I've done in previous exercises, I'm using the scanner class to let the user type in values. And down here at the bottom of the code, I have a getInput method. It receives an argument, a prompt. It prints that prompt to the console, creates a scanner object, and then returns the user's input to the calling scope. In the main method, I'm calling that method twice to get the 2 numeric values. And then I'm calling it again to let the user choose an operation. So by the time I get to line 12, I have everything I need to process the request. At this line, I'm declaring a double value, and I'm initializing it to a value of 0. Now I'm doing it here because once I get into the next block, I don't want to declare the variable. I want the variable to be available for the entire main method. So by declaring it before I get into the try block, its scope will be as broad as I need it to be. Next, at line 14, I'm starting a try block. And within the try block, I have a switch statement. There are 4 cases and 1 default. Each of the cases is calling one method. There's a method named addValues, one named subtractValues, and so on. Now, you could have done this with a single method named, say, calculate, and let it pass in 2 values and the operation, and then have another switch statement inside that method. But I find breaking things down into small pieces a lot more maintainable. So my 4 methods are at the bottom of the code down here. There's addValues, subtractValues, and so on. Within each of these methods, I'm parsing the values to get the double values. Then I'm doing my mathematical operation and returning the result. When you call the parseDouble method, you can get an exception. If you don't handle the exception at this level, the exception bubbles up through the call stack. And then you'll have to handle it here. And that's where I've placed my catch block, at the top level of the code. So I only have to handle the exceptions once, even though they might happen in any of the 4 methods. And to print out my method, I'm starting with a literal string, number formatting exception, and then I'm printing the exception object's message. And that's where I'm getting the information about the specific value that wasn't parsable. Finally, this is how I'm handling the situation where the user types in a character that's not a recognized math operation. In addition to the 4 cases, I have a default section. And if I hit that code, I simply output a message and then call return. And that means leave the main method, which means finish the application. So that's my version of the code. Take a look at what you came up with and compare it to mine and see what kind of variations there are in solving programming problems.